Hey everybody, welcome to Double Deedle Design. My name is Scott. Today we're going to talk a little bit about sketching again and how do we make our architect sketch look like architect sketches. Some of you may have been doing this in the past. Some of you may have been sketching and you see the style that a sketchbook has. Architects have a definite style. Those that have been trained or have practiced a lot in the art of drawing have a certain way of drawing lines in a sketchbook, and I'm going to show you exactly how they do that today. So the first thing I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about what pens and sketchbooks to use. Make sure you're using a sketchbook that's designed for pen and ink. I always find that a good sketchbook with pen and ink just seems to nail it every single time. I'm a big fan of Micron pens. We've been using these since my days in school. I still buy packs of Micron pens and use them whenever I can. I'm impartial to the .005 and the .01 are my favorites. So let me just give you a quick tutorial on how we sketch. And the one point that I really want you to take away from this video is how to start and end a line. Now, you've seen sketches before where people make these, what we call furry strokes, right? You take your pen and you just sketch it around and you kind of make these dash lines, or you start to draw something and you kind of sketch it a little bit and it's got some dashes to it or some hash marks on it. This is what we used to call furry strokes. The thing with furry strokes is they are indicative of indecision, right? They usually mean that it's unsure about what you're drawing or what the next step is going to be. Architects like to project a sense of knowing what their designs are, knowing what needs to come next, knowing that this line is where this line needs to be, that line is where it needs to be. Because if we're in front of clients and we're just sketching out something that's got some furry strokes or some slashes to it, it doesn't really portray a sense of confidence. And so in most architectural sketches, you will have a solid line that starts and stops with a definitive point at each end. Most lines that architects draw will have a larger end at the start and a larger end at the end. And the reason why that happens is because we place our pen down on the sketchbook and actually hold it for a split second, for a fraction of a second, before we begin our stroke. Now, the second thing is the stroke itself, the actual line that we create. We'll place that line with intent. And the intent is dropping that line, that pen with the ink that bleeds into the paper slightly, creates that dot at the end of a line, and then moves it along at a certain speed and then stops. And then the pen is picked up. At the start and at the stop, you have that heavier line. So when we draw this, we actually create floor plans, sections, even perspectives using this style. The third thing is the stroke of the line sometimes has a shake to it. We're all human beings, and when you're drawing a line that doesn't lift up from the paper, some of us have a tendency for our hands to shake. Some of us have what are called tremors. Your hand shakes a little bit more than when you were young and spry, and so when your hand is shaking more, that's actually a stylistic feature of architectural drawings that gives them their character. So those are the three things. When you're drawing your lines, start and stop with purpose. Place your pen down, give it a little bit of blob at one end, draw your line. It might have a little shake to it. That's totally fine. And then when you finish your line, pause again, give it a little bit of heavy blob at that end, and then lift your pen up. I hope this was helpful. Have a fun time sketching. Enjoy architects, and we'll talk to you next time. See you soon.